You can't trust the information of someone who is uninformed. Well, you can, you're just not rationally justified. And you're setting yourself up for disappointment, which comes from lack of anticipation of undesired outcomes, expectations. But it's not wise to trust the information of someone who is uninformed for the same reason why it's rational to proportion your beliefs to the evidence. If your belief is not equal to the amount of evidence for whatever claim it is, for whatever proposition it is, then you can't really identify yourself as a rational thinker. I say that to say, this. You can't get hung up on what a stranger or even somebody that you know or that knows of you. You can't get mad and get hung up on their opinion of you if you know that they don't know you personally. You can't take everything personally. It's not rational to do so. You gotta understand where everybody's coming from, right? So I'll take an example. It's crazy because the way humans think, right? I guess it's kind of in our nature in our evolutionary adaptation to put things in a box and stereotype and make things easy to understand, even if those shortcuts aren't a pathway to truth. But it makes the human brain comfortable, so it's stuck around for some reason. But a person will write you off as lazy for having a nutrient deficiency. Right? So it's like, if you know that this person doesn't understand what goes on in your personal life or whatever the case may be, how can you take personal offense to that? That's irrational. That's like thinking like you're some sort of main character and the world revolves around you, when that's simply not the case. Everyone is their own individual, living their individual lives with their own problems, their own goals and aspirations. So to think anything else would be pretty narcissistic, pretty just irrational in general. But people will take something and blow it out of proportion because it sounds good. They want to believe whatever it is. We live in a society that's more focused on being dogmatically judgmental instead of actually having compassion and trying to understand each individual in their situation. Right? So instead of actually trying to take the time to get to know this person, oh, that's too hard. I'm just gonna take whatever propaganda that the current regime or those with the influence shove down my throat, and I'm gonna regurgitate that onto other people for some arbitrary reason. Like, you don't have this type of house or car, So you were worth less than a human being, you know. I don't care about your situation. I don't care that you work 3 jobs and can barely afford to feed yourself. You know, they're just gonna judge you on that, right? So they don't care about you at that moment. They wrote you off as an inert, just block. You're not even a human. You're not even an autonomous individual anymore to them. You're an NPC. You know, they don't care that you have similar experiences and similar wants than them. They don't care. So it's like, think about this. Lazy is not a thing. Lazy is not a thing. Being lazy, calling someone lazy is nothing more than a shame tactic to try to berate somebody for not conforming to your arbitrary social constructs. That's what it is. Think about it. That person's not doing whatever it is you deem important for them to do because they're lazy. It's a actual reason. This person is either fatigued, burnt out, mentally or physically ill, or just not interested. You ever thought of that? I don't want to do that shit. Not fucking lazy. But that's the type of society we live in. You just write people off instead of actually getting to understand them. Oh, you're just lazy. You're just lazy. I don't care about your situation. That's how they think. Because getting to know people, understanding there's nuances to everything, nah, that's too hard. I want the easy way. They don't give a shit. You know, and wanting the easy way to do something is not a bad thing. You know, it's actually smart. But try to be efficient in doing the necessary method to get the right answer instead of circumventing that whole process for the sake of comfort or, you know, whatever. Yeah, so being lazy is not real. Calling somebody lazy is just a way to minimize and other people's. Being lazy is not a real thing. Calling somebody lazy is just a way to minimize their experiences. You know, maybe that person is not doing that because it makes them feel insecure, or maybe it brings a flashback of PTSD from some traumatic experience from their past or something. Maybe it's a trigger for that. You don't know. You don't know until you actually ask the person, get to know the person for who they are, instead of just judging people. What does that do? Like, always like, I'm flabbergasted. Like, I'm puzzled, you know, at looking at people's decision-making skills. Like, what is your MO, your modus operandi, when you're doing that action? What are you trying to do? What is your desired outcome? What is the desired result? It's like people just do stuff. They just act on that primal lizard brain. They don't actually think with logic and reason. You just do shit. emotion and shit, you know? Are you actually, like, do you have some type of method or apparatus to obtain your goal in an efficient way? I think the answer to a lot of people is fuck no. You know? Man, that's fucked up, man. People just write you off as lazy because you're sick. You know? All they do is stay in bed all day. Maybe they have fucking cancer. Or maybe they just don't value the thing, whatever it is, as much as you want them to, which they have the freedom to do so because they have individual bodily autonomy and individual liberties. But no, they won't even check on your mental health. Nah, they don't care about that, man. What can this motherfucker do to further my bottom line? You know, that's what a lot of people think. What can this fucker do for me? I don't care about this person as an individual human being with their own experiences. Nah, fuck that. You know, it's always funny how, you know, people will say, well, you know, I can't do this, you know, I can't do that. No, it's not that you can't do that. It's that it's lower on your priority list. Because instead of doing that, you're doing something else. But you prioritize that over the other thing, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. But just admit it for what it is. You know? So it's like, you calling a person lazy? No, they just don't prioritize whatever it is over whatever they actually prioritize. They just lower on their priority list. That's all. Lower on their hierarchy of priorities. Because we have the freedom to like whatever we like and do whatever we want to do. You know, it's just what it is. You can try to dogmatically assert your beliefs onto other people, but then you're just being an asshole. It's another thing. It's another thing that I hate. When people try to take away your autonomy. They try to take away your critical thinking as an individual. You know, they basically, they try to take away your agency. Basically putting somebody in a box where they're a victim, so they don't have agency. They don't have the wherewithal to actually make an informed decision. You know, oh, look at this little poor little oppressed minority group. They're not intelligent enough to make their own conscientious decisions. So me, a white knight, I have to defend him because I'm a social justice warrior. You know? And on the surface, that sounds like the sentiment is from a good place, right? You're being a warrior for social justice, right? Sounds good. I get the sentiment. But I'm saying the sentiment of taking away people's agency. Like if someone made a decision, if somebody's doing something, and you say, no, man, he must be, you know, he's doing that because, you know, he doesn't have the opportunity. No, motherfucker, I did that. I intentionally did that. Don't take away my autonomy like I'm just some fucking automaton, fucking machine, just following the basic laws of physics and nothing more. Which we are, technically. But I'm saying from the aspect of, you know, basically like they're just treating people like, you know, we're just bacteria scaled up. You know, simple biology basic life forms doing nothing more than being controlled by the laws of physics, right? It's like, it brings me to a story. I was like 10 years old or something. And I was with my uncle, right? A very religious person. And I am not. But yeah. So we were going to this church, right? It was like some type of meeting at a church. And then, we pulled up to the church, but nobody was there. And little 10-year-old me, I was like that's a ripoff. And then my uncle was like, hey, it's like, that must have been a slip of the mouth. That was, he didn't mean to say that. I'm just thinking in my 10-year-old head, like, wait, what are you talking about? That is a ripoff. Somebody said to meet up at a place at a specific time and they didn't show up. That's a ripoff. I meant to say that. It doesn't matter because I'm 10. I'm not a fucking idiot. Kids aren't just inherently stupid. They're not fully developed, but it doesn't mean they're absolutely, fucking dumb. They know what the hell's going on. I meant what the hell I said. That was a fucking ripoff. That was just an example. In that moment, that's when I realized, that adults will try to take away the autonomy of children. And that was just like a basic sentiment. In that moment, I realized people will do that in society. People will try to take away your agency as if you don't have the wherewithal and the intelligence to make an informed, conscientious decision. That's fucked up, man. Taking away people's autonomy. As if, I don't have the right to be an individual. I'm just not an individual. Less than a human, less than a person. That's messed up, man. But yeah, to bring this to a roundabout back to the point of people just writing you off before actually doing their due diligence to inform themselves on the situation. For example, I might look like a psychotic crackhead pacing around screaming at a phone. So that's what I'm doing right now. Some random passerby, bystander may just look at me and say, that guy's a psychotic crackhead. That's what he is. He is a psychotic crackhead. They would be wrong in that assumption. But that brings me to the point. It's not rational to value the opinion of someone who's uninformed about the situation. Because think about it. They made an assumption about me that is incorrect. So whatever apparatus they're using to determine and decipher whether something is true or false is apparently flawed because they got their answer incorrect. Their answer is wrong. So why should I value that person's opinion? Their apparatus for discerning truth, discerning what is likely true, is flawed. So I want to believe as many true things and as few false things as possible. I want to have an accurate depiction of reality. So why would I harp on the opinion of somebody that obviously either doesn't care or either doesn't have the ability, doesn't care, doesn't care enough to do the due diligence to figure out whether something is actually true or not. You know, it's like getting down on yourself and, you know, clinging to the fact that, you know, some people just have different values than you. That's okay, but why would you put more stock into somebody that doesn't even share the same values as you, their opinion of your values and how you carry out those values? You know, doesn't make sense. If this person, you know, is on a different political spectrum, or they have different religious views, or whatever the case may be, and they're judging you, like, let's say you're an atheist and some religious guy saying, you know, you should, you know, go to church every Sunday and, you know, don't curse and don't do drugs and whatever the case may be because you're gonna burn in hell. You know, it's like, well, I'm not gonna value what you just said because I don't share those same beliefs. I don't subscribe to that doctrine. So it's kind of like, you lost me there, bro. You know, you lost me there. I don't know what you're talking about. So, yeah, I mean, to be in the most, put this in the most charitable way possible, you know, I don't value your opinion on that topic, you know. No, I'm a substance over style type of guy, you know. If the course of action checks all the boxes for me, it accomplishes my goal, my desired outcome, my intended result, then I'm okay with that. I don't really care how it looks. You know, I don't care about the social implications or what other people may think of it. You know, with a random passerby what it may look like to the random bystander. I don't care about that, you know. You know, it's like I'm making this video right now. You know, objectively, what I'm doing is I'm pacing around in a vacant parking lot, screaming at a phone. That's what I'm doing right now. But I'm trying to convey a message. I'm trying to explain something and share it to people. So I don't really care how it may come across to somebody who's uninformed in a situation. Because if you actually took the time to understand people, to understand what other people are coming from and what they're going through, then you can be more knowledgeable on that situation, on that topic. You know, I care more about my method of discerning whether or not something is true than just being, you know, or I just happen to get that answer right, or I have the appearance of being smart, or the appearance of, you know, being intellectual. I'd rather actually be smart. You know, I'd rather actually have and know the information, understand the information, be able to decipher, break down the information, and explain it in a simple, easy to understand way so that others can understand it, so that we can have a more enlightened society. No, actually, I do care about others. You know, I care about, you know, whether or not people's beliefs are true, you know, because that enriches their lives, whether or not they believe it or not. So, you know, you take that for what it is.